The Citroen C5 Aircross packs lots of tech into a stylish and comfortable package. Its infotainment system is frustrating, though, and rear space is tight. Not only that, but thanks to some neat design features, such as the intricate 3D brake lights and contrasting color accents dotted around the body, the Citroen C5 Aircross looks considerably more interesting than its main alternatives, the Hyundai Tucson, Nissan Qashqai and VW Tiguan. Inside, based on looks alone, the C5 Aircross also trumps those cars. You get a neat, minimalist layout that you can personalize by choosing from a range of design and color schemes for the interior. No matter what color you pick, all models get excellent seats that are super comfy. The comfort theme continues in the rear as well. There you'll find 3 individual seats, something most similarly priced alternatives don't have. This lets you move the seats forwards or backwards or recline them independently. However, even with the seats rammed right back, rear space is tight for adults. The trade-off is that you have more boot space than in a Hyundai Tucson or Kia Sportage. Move the rear seats all the way to the front and the resulting capacity rivals that of the larger Skoda Kodiaq. The Citroen C5 Aircross is a very practical SUV. Start poking around the C5 Aircross interior and you'll soon find a lot more scratchy plastics and loose fittings that you wouldn't find in a VW Tiguan, for example. What's more, the standard 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system has some rather gloomy menus, and some of the features, such as searching for a radio station, aren't as intuitive as in alternative systems. Overall, the system in a Skoda Kodiaq is easier to use. It's easy to forget some of the interior drawbacks thanks to just how relaxing the Citroen C5 Aircross is to drive. A lot of alternatives rely on selective driving modes to give the illusion you're driving a sports car, but the C5 Aircross does away with that and instead, is one of the most comfortable family SUVs on sale. While the C5 Aircross is comfortable on the motorway, it does a pretty good job maneuvering around town, too. Thanks to an optional 360-degree camera, you can park with confidence, plus the steering in the C5 Aircross is nice and light, making maneuvers very easy. A drawback of the relaxed suspension is that the C5 Aircross leans quite a bit in corners, making it feel less agile than the slightly smaller Citroen, but that's a small price to pay for the extra comfort you get over the seat. In terms of engine choice, the C5 Aircross gives the seat a good run for its money as well. It's best to stick to the 130 horsepower diesel, equipped with the optional 8-speed auto. You won't be winning any traffic light races, but you'll be rewarded with excellent fuel economy, and the strong pull from low revs of the diesel fits the character of the C5 Aircross better than the rev-happy 130 horsepower petrol. There's also a plug-in hybrid model, which pairs a petrol engine with an electric motor to produce 221 horsepower. It can travel around 30 miles on electricity, which is most commutes covered. Talking of commutes, its low CO2 emissions mean it's the cheapest company car choice by far. Entry-level C5s come with essential safety kits such as automatic emergency braking and lane departure warning as standard. An option worth considering for extra peace of mind is grip control. This gives you extra off-road driving modes which use the stability control system to help you out of a muddy campsite or a snowy drive. All in all, there are alternative SUVs that are sportier to drive and have better infotainment systems, but none of them are quite as relaxed on the move as the Citroen C5 Aircross, and arguably as good looking, making it a pretty unique proposition. If you're looking for comfy family transport, it should definitely be on your shortlist. The Citroen C5 Aircross has a RRP range of £27,815 to £38,275. The Citroen C5 Aircross clever sliding seats mean it's great for carrying passengers and bulky luggage, but very tall people will still struggle in the back. The Citroen C5 Aircross tall body and large front doors making getting in very easy. The doors also extend over the side sill, so you don't run the risk of muddying your trousers as you can on some alternatives. Once you're inside, you'll find there's ample room in the front, and the seats come with plenty of padding to help you get comfortable. All models come with a height-adjustable driver's seat, and high-spec Flare Plus versions add electric adjustment, too. Unfortunately, even these more expensive models don't come with lumbar support, to help prevent backache on long journeys, as standard. However, space in the back is at more of a premium. The seats themselves are very nearly as comfortable as those in the front, but tall passengers may find their heads brush against the Citroen C5 Aircross padded roof and their knees forced into the front seat packs. They can recline their seats slightly to give themselves a little more headroom, but it's still not as roomy as in the likes of the Skoda Kodiaq. The Citroen C5 Aircross is good at carrying 3 passengers in the back at once. Each of the back seats can slide and recline individually as standard, and they're all the same width, so there'll be no arguing over who has to sit in the middle seat on long journeys. There's plenty of shoulder room, too, and there's only a very slight lump in the rear floor, so your central rear passenger has lots of space to put their feet. You can get the Citroen C5 Aircross with a petrol or a diesel engine, and with either a manual or an automatic gearbox. There's also a plug-in hybrid model. The most affordable models come with a 130 horsepower petrol engine that's most at home pottering around town. It won't feel particularly fast, but it'll be the cheapest version to run if you mainly do short trips or spend a lot of time in heavy traffic. There's also a 130 horsepower diesel engine that'll be worth considering if you do more driving on motorways and you're sticking to a tight budget. It won't be as nippy as the petrol engine, but it'll cruise along quite comfortably at 70 miles per hour and won't cost as much to run. There's also a plug-in hybrid model, which pairs a petrol engine with an electric motor to produce 221 horsepower. It can travel around 30 miles on electricity, which is most commutes covered. Talking of commutes, its low CO2 emissions mean it's the cheapest company car choice by far. The Citroen C5 Aircross large rear doors give you plenty of room to lift in a bulky child seat, and the exposed Isofix anchor points mean you won't have any trouble locking the seat in place. There's also an Isofix mounting point in the front passenger seat as well. You won't have to stoop down low to strap in a child either, thanks to the Citroen C5 Aircross tall roof and raised suspension, and there's space in the back for an adult passenger to sit between 2 large child seats without feeling cramped. Dotted around the Citroen C5 Aircross interior are plenty of storage bins totaling more than 30 litres in capacity. This includes a huge central storage bin under the front armrest. Unfortunately, the front door bins are rather shallow and not particularly wide, so they can only hold a few 500 ml bottles. Those in the back are large enough for a 1.0-litre bottle each, though. The glove box, despite a huge lid, is very small, because it also houses the fuse box. You get a generous storage tray under the dashboard with a wireless charging pad for your phone and 2 good-sized cup holders just behind the gear lever. Unfortunately, because the Citroen C5 Aircross comes with 3 individual rear seats, your backseat passengers don't get a folding armrest or any cup holders. The Citroen C5 Aircross musters up 580 litres of boot space with the back seats raised and in their most rearward position. That's significantly more than the Hyundai Tucson and Kia Sportage can manage. If you need to carry more luggage than passengers, the back seats slide forward to boost the C5 Aircross carrying capacity to 720 litres, exactly the same as the cavernous Skoda Kodiaq. The Citroen C5 Aircross interior comes with plenty of soft materials, a slick design and a decent amount of tech as standard, but alternatives come with better infotainment systems.